The huge farewell to the beloved and humble Pope Francis. This morning in St. Peter's Square, about 200,000 people attending the funeral of the leader of the Catholic Church, beginning 9 days of mourning, prayers, and remembrance.
Heads of state from around the world, including President Donald Trump and former President Joe Biden, paying their respects. A procession is transporting Francis's body to his burial site in Rome's Basilica of St. Mary Major at Francis's request, since most popes are buried in the crypt at St. Peter's Basilica, and a nod to his dedication to a life of simplicity.
And the next step, of course, will be selecting a new pope, a centuries-old process steeped in tradition called the conclave. Let's go back now to ABC senior national correspondent Terry Moran, who is there in Rome. Terry, good morning.
Good morning, Rianne. There is nothing like the conclave in the world. No other government, and the Vatican does choose its leader this way, and it chooses the leader like this. It is a combination of ancient ritual and hardball politics, and they hope the grace of God.
It's the iconic image. White smoke billowing up from the chimney of the Sistine Chapel, signaling that a new leader of the Catholic Church has been chosen. It's an ancient process shrouded in tradition and secrecy, the papal conclave.
One of the biggest misconceptions is that the current pope would somehow appoint somebody or even anoint somebody, like Pope Francis would tell people who he wants, which is totally false. It's a totally open field.
Shortly after Pope Francis is laid to rest, the carefully orchestrated process for electing the next pope will begin, typically 15 to 20 days after a pope's death. The College of Cardinals will gather and sequester inside the Vatican, cutting off contact with the outside world for the duration. It starts with an oath of secrecy.
The secrecy is to help people be able to express themselves openly and not worry that it's going to be reported afterwards.
Everybody who's not a cardinal elector must leave, and the great doors of the Sistine Chapel are closed.
Only the cardinals who are electors, that is, cardinals who are under 80, are allowed inside the Sistine Chapel for the conclave.
There, they will spend time in silence and prayer as they pore over the contenders.
The cardinals pray and make the decision under the guidance of the Holy Spirit. What they're looking for is a person who's holy, a person who's a good evangelizer who can proclaim the gospel, and someone who's a good administrator too, which are hard traits to find in one person.
When the time comes to vote, sitting in silence in 2 rows on either side, each cardinal will fill out his ballot in Latin before going up to the altar to cast them. Once all the cardinals have voted, the ballots are counted, read aloud, and noted. The votes are then burned in an iron stove at the end of a session. Black smoke signals that no one reached the 2/3 majority required to be elected. If that happens, the cardinals return to vote twice in the morning and twice in the evening, a process that could take days until a new pope is elected and chosen his new papal name, and that white smoke will billow out over the Sistine Chapel.
So even right now, the cardinals are meeting every day, not to choose the next pope, but they're discussing the kind of challenges worldwide and in particular regions that are facing the Catholic Church right now. And they're doing something else, no question about it. They're sizing each other up, saying which one might be the next pope. Wait.
Yeah, and Terry, I'll take it from here. We know that this process will get underway soon. What can you tell us about where it stands right now?
Well, that everybody wants to know who are the leading candidates. This is actually the 3rd conclave that I will have covered. And every time you kind of pour through who are the leading contenders, there are bookmakers making odds, but there is an old saying, he who goes into the conclave thinking they're going to be the Pope comes out a cardinal. There are often surprises, and there is that element for this process that they hope that the Holy Spirit is guiding them. And sometimes holiness is actually the decisive factor. They sense that in one of their colleagues there is something special. That is the hope. We'll see what happens, guys.
We sure will. A fascinating process. Terry Moran, thank you so much for your coverage throughout the morning and in all of these days covering Pope Francis's passing. Thank you.